You can download the arts in the video for free, link in the description. For pixelated hair with physics, like the hair scene in the game Celeste, we will first create a scene that will handle all the hair logic, create a new scene, with a node 2D as the core, right click, rename it to hair component, then go to scene save as, and save it, then select the hair component node 2D and add a script. Inside the script, we first establish at tool. This will make the script run inside the Godot editor, and will allow us to see what the hair looks like without needing to run the game. Then we will establish the class name as hair component, which will make it so that this node can be found within the add node window, and hair component is the name that you will search to find the node. Next, we will define 17 variables, and we use export so that we can edit these variables from the right, allowing for a unique value between different hair component nodes. Character body will be used to get a character body like the player node. We require a character body node, as this hair will move and react to the velocity of the character body node that it is a child of. Sprite with flip H will be used to get the main sprite node of the attached character body, so that way we can apply flip H on the hair in sync with the player's sprite, and current flip H will be used so we only run the flip H code once when the player's flip H changes. Starting hair texture is an image of the main bulk of the hair, and will mostly be used to obfuscate the point where the rest of the hair connects to the player sprite. And hair segment texture is the texture of the various chunks of hair, as we will have many sprites using this texture, and we will move them in a way that emulates the physics seen in Celeste. Total hair segments is the amount of hair segment sprites that we will add to the scene. Hair segment offset is the offset we apply to each hair segment relative to the segment that we are up to. So for example, the first hair segment would be at a position of -0.5 by 2, then the second hair segment would be at a position of -1 by 4. This will create a more natural hair shape when the player is not moving, and will also ensure that the hair doesn't become a straight line when the player is moving. Hair size max and hair size min are the maximum and minimum size of the hair segments. The hair will start at the max, then as we add more hair segment sprites, each segment will get smaller until reaching the minimum size. Max segment distance is the maximum allowed distance between each hair segment. This will be used when the player is moving, to ensure that the hair segments remain connected to each other without any gaps, ensuring we don't lose the illusion of the hair not being a bunch of sprites next to each other. Velocity mult is a multiplier that we can apply to the player's velocity. This can be used to ensure that the hair moves more or less when moving horizontally or vertically, and will assist in the case that your velocity does or doesn't reach values that aren't suitable for this hair, allowing you to tweak this variable rather than having to redo all the values in your player script. Hair pause lerp speed is how fast the segments reach their target position when their player is moving. This will either make the hair flow slower or faster. Wind strength X and Y are how strong the wind is on either axis. Reaching a 1.0 or -1.0 will stop all the player velocity from interacting with the hair movement. These variables will allow you to apply an alternate resting position or hair movement based on the direction of the fake wind in your level, and these variables will define the direction and strength of that wind. Max wind velocity is the fake velocity we make the wind pretend to be. This is because we will still use the same velocity logic as when we are moving the player. However, instead of grabbing the player velocity, we will instead grab this velocity for the wind. And minimum wind influence is the amount of how much the player's velocity affects the movement of the hair when one of the wind strength axes reaches a 1.0 or -1.0. Finally, skip next physics will skip one frame of the physics process after we generate the hair. This is to avoid any potential repositioning of the hair nodes before letting them set up properly. Now for generating the various sprites that we will use for this hair, we will create a custom function called generate hair. Inside, we will first check if we have any children, meaning that we have generated hair before. If so, then we will iterate through all of the children using the made up variable I. Then we will call queue_free to remove them. This will allow us to then re-add the sprites with the new and updated properties. Then we will check if any of the hair textures have not been set. If so, then we call return to skip all the code below, as we don't want to spawn in hair if there is no texture for it. Now for spawning in the hair sprites, we first define a variable called previous hair segment pos, which will hold the position of the previous spawned hair segment. We require this variable as we will be using the offset from before to ensure the hair is positioned in a more natural looking way. Then we iterate through the amount of hair segments plus 1 using a for loop, using the made up variable I to represent the hair segment that we are up to. Additionally, we add a +1 as we intend to spawn the starting hair piece as well as the segments. Then we create a new variable to store a new sprite node. Then we set the texture of the new sprite to either the starting hair texture or the hair segment texture, based on if this is the first sprite that we are adding, as the first sprite will be the starting hair. Then we set the position to the previous hair segment position with the addition of the offset, unless this is the starting hair. Then we update the previous hair segment pos variable. The reason why we use a variable like this instead of just grabbing the previously created hair segment position directly is due to the loop being faster than adding nodes to a scene, meaning that if we were to try to grab the previous node, then the offset wouldn't be properly set on all of the hair segments. Additionally, it is better to store a vector 2 opposed to a reference to a node, as all we need is the vector 2 position from that previous hair segment node. Now for the scale of the hair segments, we want the hair segment to get smaller as we add more hair. We can do this by setting the sprite scale to a lerp that goes from the maximum scale to the minimum scale. Then we define a variable to grab what percentage between these two values that we should scale to. Scale percent is simply equal to the hair segment that we are up to divided by the total, and we multiply this lerp by a vector 2.1, which is basically a vector 2 with 1 by 1 in the brackets. As scale needs an x and y value, and we intend to have both values be the same value. Finally, we set the z index so that the hair goes behind the previously added hair segment, and we do a -1 so that the hair appears behind the player sprite, and we add this new hair segment sprite as a child. Then outside the for loop, we set skip next physics to be true, so we can skip the next physics process frame to avoid potential repositioning errors. nearest. Now to call this function when the game runs and inside of the Godot editor, but when the game runs, inside the built-in ready function, we'll set the texture filter to nearest as we're using pixel art. This line may not be needed if you are already setting texture filter inside of the project settings. Then we call the generate hair function. This will ensure that Godot generates the hair once when we are playing the game. However, for the Godot editor to generate hair, we can't use the ready function, as the ready function only runs once when we add this node to the scene, whereas we want to be able to generate every time we change a value. To do so, we export a tool button, which will create a pressable button on the right that can activate code when pressed. The string is the text displayed on the button. Then the variable name doesn't matter as we won't refer to that, so feel free to name this variable however you'd like. Then we make the type a callable, which will be equal to a function. Then we call the generate hair inside of this function. Additionally, you can add more code to activate when pressing the button. However, for this tutorial, we only intend to use this button to generate the hair. Now for the hair physics and movement, inside the built-in physics process function, we will first check if there are no children, meaning that we haven't generated any hair sprites, or if skip next physics is true, meaning that we just generated the hair. Then we call return to skip all the code below, and we reset skip next physics in the case that it was set to true. Otherwise, if we have generated the hair, or we are not skipping the physics, then we will first define 3 variables. Wind strength will combine both of the wind strength variables. This simply saves us having to write it later, making the code more readable. Wind vel or wind velocity will take the direction of the wind from the wind strength and increase its force by applying the wind velocity variable. Additionally, we use a minus to reverse the wind strength as we want the hair to move in the direction of the wind. Wind mag is the magnitude of the wind strength, basically converting it into a single float number of how strong the wind is overall, taking into account both the x and y. Additionally, we use clamp to ensure that the overall strength of the wind can't be less than 0 or more than 1. Then we iterate through all the hair segment sprite nodes, with the made-up variable I representing the hair segment that we are up to. Additionally, we use a range that starts at 1 and ends at the total child count. We do this to skip the first sprite node, as that is the starting hair, and we only want to move the hair segments, and it will stop this next line from causing an error. Previous child will store a reference to the previous child node. This will be used to set the offset position of the current hair segment appropriately, and because we started at a 1 instead of a 0, that ensures this line doesn't cause the game to crash, as there will always be a node that exists with a lower index value, which the index is a position within the scene tree, with 0 being the topmost node amongst other children of the same parent node, and current child will grab the current hair segment that we want to reposition and apply physics to. We then calculate the velocity that we wish to apply to the hair. We first grab the player's velocity and multiply it by the velocity mult variable. Then player scale will define how much the player's velocity should affect the overall velocity, as wind velocity is meant to override the player's velocity based on its strength, which wind magnitude is the amount of strength, being used as a percentage to grab a value between 1.0, meaning the player has complete influence on the hair physics, all the way down to whatever amount of influence that the min wind influence variable allows. And finally, we decrease the player's velocity by multiplying it with the result of the player scale, and we add the wind velocity. Now for the target position we want to move each segment of the player's hair to, we will first define the offset of the hair, which is mostly the rest position when the player isn't moving, and we grab a value that ranges from the hair segment offset to an alternate version of the offset in the direction of the wind. Basically, this will provide a potential direction change for the hair's rest position based on the strength of the wind and its influence. Then we define a variable for the target position, which will just be equal to the previous hair segment's position plus the position offset. This is the rest position. Now for applying velocity to the hair segment positioning, we'll add a negative of final velocity multiplied by 0.05. Making it a negative will ensure that the hair moves in the correct direction, and 0.05 is a factor that controls how strong the velocity affects the target position. You may want to change this value based on how big of a number that your player's velocity property reaches. Mine only reaches 64.5 horizontally at negative 225.5 when jumping. Then to set this hair segment's position, we will set it to a lerp, which a lerp moves the first value towards the second at a rate of the third, which is also known as the weight. We will define a custom variable for the weight to make the code cleaner and easier to read. For the hair position weight, we will first make the hair pos lerp speed negative, as we want to move towards the target position, not away from it. Then we multiply this by delta to ensure that it is frame rate independent, as delta represents the amount of real world time since the previous frame. exp is an exponential function that returns a mathematical constant of e to the power of whatever is inside the brackets. This tells us the exact fraction of what we should apply this frame to move towards the target position. And finally, we do 1.0 minus the exponential function to turn what remains into what we actually apply this frame, because we need the amount to apply, not the amount that remains. Now to ensure that each hair segment doesn't move too far from one another, we will first define 3 variables. Dir to last child will be used to get the direction and distance between this hair segment and the previous. Then distance to last child, we'll compute the distance value using length, and p scale will grab the size of the child as we want to reposition based on scale, to ensure that the scale of the hair segments doesn't create any gaps, and we only grab the x value as both the x and y are the same. Then we check if the distance between this and the previous child is more than the allowed segment distance, taking into account the scale of this child. If so, then we update the dir to last child variable using normalize to turn it into a direction value. We then multiply this by the maximum allowed distance, taking scale into account. Then we set the position of this node to the previous child's position plus the dir to last child value. This overall reposition will move the node closer to the previous child, as if it is moving towards the previous child hair segment on a straight line until reaching the maximum allowed distance, without ruining any of our previous velocity-based hair physics. Now for flipping the resting offset position and the flip h of the hair sprite, we will create a custom function called setFlipH, which will have a flip h property that we we pass when calling this function. Inside, we flip the hair offset horizontally based on if flip H is true or not. ABS or absolute value will make the value inside positive. Then we can keep this as a positive number or make it negative based on flip H. Then we iterate through each hair sprite, setting their flip H appropriately. Now for calling this function, inside the physics process function, we check if we have a sprite with a flip H that we want to copy, and that the current flip H is not up to date. Then we call the set flip H function, passing the sprite's flip H that we want to copy. Then we update the current flip H. Additionally, we call this flip H update after we have confirmed that there are hair sprites, as otherwise we would be trying to flip H of sprites that don't exist. An example of using this hair component node in your game is to go to your player scene, or the scene that you want to add the hair to, then press the plus and type hair component. Keep in mind that this is the class name that we defined earlier in the hair script, then add the node to the scene. From here, we can then edit the various export variables on the right, most importantly setting the character body 2D by selecting assign, the character body 2D we want the velocity from, then press OK, the sprite 2D with the flip H that we want to copy, which you select in the same way as the character body 2D, then the starting hair texture, and the texture of the hair segments, which you can download for free, link in the description. Additionally, for the player art that you can download for free, link in the description, I'll set the hair segment offset to -1.5 on the x-axis. Then you can set any of the other variables and press generate hair to spawn all the hair sprites. Keep in mind that you only need to press this button when updating properties that are not affected by the physics process, as the physics process will run constantly inside the Godot editor. So the first 5 variables, as well as the hair segment size, maximum and minimum, are what matter in the case of needing to press the button to generate the hair, as the rest are updated inside the physics process function. Additionally, we can change the position to be in line with the player sprite. We don't need to change the texture filter, as we already did that in the ready function, and you can change any of the other regular built-in properties that come with a Node 2D. Now to make sure this hair moves with any frame animation, simply go to your animation player that plays all of your frame animations, select the hair component node, set its position appropriately to the current frame, then press the keyframe. You will need to keyframe the position of the hair at every single point where there is a sprite frame keyframe, and in the case that there is an animation that has more than one position keyframe, and there is a difference between at least one of them in terms of their value, then you can hold left click and drag a selection box over all the position keyframes. Then on the right click the easing and set it to 0. This will make the position of the hair snap rather than slowly move into place. Additionally, keep in mind that the hair script is set up in a way where flip H is done by copying the sprite's flip H, so simply make sure that the sprite selected is the one that's being flipped. Now to pixelate the hair, there are 2 methods. First is to go to project settings, then under window, set the stretch mode to viewport. This will pixelate the entire game and not just the hair, which may not be ideal. So in the case that you only want to pixelate just the player's hair and not the entire game, set the mode to canvas items, then inside the scene with the hair, add a sub viewport node to the scene. Godot uses a regular viewport to grab all the information of what should and shouldn't be displayed when the game is playing. A sub viewport does the same, except we can take the final image provided by the sub viewport and send it to a sprite 2D. Inside the sub viewport, we will set the size to 100 by 100 pixels. Make sure there is ample space for the hair. The less pixels, the less FPS you will lose from having the sub viewport, but also make sure there is still enough for displaying all the possible positions of the hair. And make sure transparent background is set to true. This will remove the gray background of the image that the viewport will provide. Now you can hold left click and drag your hair component and make it a child of the sub viewport, which will set the white position of the hair component to 0.5, so that the pixels of the starting hair texture are not stretched, although this may depend on your sprite, as you don't want the middle of any pixel resting on 0, 0. And to avoid having to set the position of the hair component to the center of the viewport size, we can just add a camera 2D node as a child of the sub viewport. This will make the 0, 0 within the viewport be the middle of the image that the sub viewport will provide. Now to see the final image of the sub viewport, add a sprite 2D node to the scene, select the empty on texture, then select a viewport texture, select the sub viewport we just created, and press OK. We will then need to set the texture filter to nearest as we're using pixel art, and we will also need to set the Z index of the sprite 2D to ensure that it is behind the main player sprite, as the Z index we set inside the hair component is local to the viewport. Now unfortunately with this method you can't see the exact position of the hair, which makes it difficult to reposition during frame animation. For this case I recommend using Ctrl or Command plus D when the hair component is selected to duplicate it, then holding left click and dragging it over to the character body 2D to bring it outside of the sub viewport. Then I would use this duplicate as a reference for the position to set the sprite 2D to, and you can delete this duplicate after doing all the other frame animation. Now to animate the pixelated hair, and to make sure the hair moves with any frame animation, simply go to your animation player, at the position of a frame, select the sprite 2D node that displays the hair, set its position appropriately, then press keyframe. You will need to keyframe the position of the hair at every point that there is a sprite frame keyframe, and in the case that an animation has more than one position keyframe, and there is a difference between at least one of them in terms of their value, you can hold left click and drag a selection box over all the position keyframes. Then on the right click on the easing and set it to 0. This will make the position of the hair snap rather than slowly move into place. Additionally, keep in mind the hair script is set up in a way where flip H is done by copying the sprite's flip H. Simply make sure that the sprite selected is the one being flipped. Finally, to provide an outline of the pixelated hair, select the sprite 2D node that is displaying the sub viewport, then under material, select the empty, then select the new shader material, select it to open it up, then under shader, select empty again, and create a new shader. I will name it 2D pixel outline, and press create, then select the shader to open up the shader code. I would then recommend copying the following shader code. I have a full video that breaks down all of this shader code in the case that you are interested in understanding how the shader shader works. The video is only 1 minute and 50 seconds long, and the outline shader tutorial video will be linked in the description. And using this shader code will also allow you to change the color of the outline, as well as whether there is any corner pixels or not. Now you have pixelated and outlined hair with physics that react to the player's velocity, similar to the hair seen in the game Celeste, that you can add to any of your 2D Godot games. And don't forget, you can check out the project files linked in the description.